For over 20 years, I've enjoyed sitting down, closing my eyes, and listening to music. And during that time, I've gone through a lot of equipment, and I was always searching for the next thing. I always said, well, I'd get a new component, I'd really like it, and then there'd be something missing. So I'd go and get another component. I changed rooms. I had a total of 3 different rooms that I had a very nice system in, and there was always something missing. And I tried years ago, I put a little bit of acoustic treatment in my room, and it made a little bit of a difference, but I was still searching. And I'd been watching Dennis's videos and been really intrigued. For one reason or another, it never worked out. When I moved into this home, I knew I was going to have a dedicated space for my stereo, and I knew I wanted Dennis's technology in here. When he talked about the diaphragmatic absorbers, it was so intriguing to me because I hadn't experienced that before. So I made a leap of faith and called up Dennis during the time that I was looking for a house. And before or right at the same day I put an offer in this house, I was on email shooting Dennis a message saying, what do I do with this room? And time went by, and we started I closed on the house, and the first package of the carbon panels that you see behind me arrived. And I put them in the room. And it was one of the most startling differences I've ever experienced in all my years of hi-fi. The bass, it's hard to describe because I don't think many of us have actually heard it or felt it the way it feels and sounds. You can hear how fast it comes and goes is startling. The distinction you can make between different bass notes is so clear. An example is that when you have a kick drum and a bass guitar and either a synth or a piano playing at the same time, and they're all hitting low notes, for years, 25 years or 30 years, however long I've been listening to some of these songs, I didn't know exactly what was going on. And now there's just that distinction between them. You can hear the bass guitar note, you can hear the kick, you can hear the lower frequencies of the piano or the synthesizer. And it's like a whole new world opens up. It's like a third of the music was missing, and all of a sudden it just showed up, and you can hear it. And you can feel it, too. The way that you feel it in your chest is so abrupt and sudden. And then it's gone. So it's really fun. There's some songs that are just so much fun to listen to because you get this wild dynamic swing of the bass impact. So I had a few of those in, and then we put the diffusion in. And the diffusion, it opened up the soundstage a lot. And it made it felt a little compressed in to just expansive. And I'd had already before the diffusion, the soundstage went past the speakers, and it sounded like it went past the back wall a little bit. But when I put the diffusion in, it was like you're just in the wide open space, and you can hear sound just going off into the distance. If it's recorded that way, if the song was recorded in a studio and it was a small studio or a club, it sounds like you're in that smaller area. There's very few songs that don't sound like I'm in a bigger space than I am. And those would be something like an acoustic guitar with one singer, where it's already an intimate recording. Probably, I listen to a lot of indie music, so it would be like indie artists recording in their bedroom. then the space will sound small because it was small when they recorded it. And then you get to an orchestral piece, and it's wild how big it is. I got more of the carbon panels in. And there was a whole new level of bass nuance and layering of the bass that I didn't know was possible. Especially in electronic music, where they really hit some really deep notes, you can hear them playing with it, where it's almost got a warble to it, where the bass is going up and down and it kind of sloshes side to side a little bit. And it just sounded like a single key press or just a single note before, and now there's all this nuance and detail to it. And the expansiveness of the soundstage and how you feel like you're in a room with music all around you. It's not just a plane in front. It starts to circle around and you can hear ambiance coming from behind. And I really like that. It really makes it feel like you're experiencing a live presentation. And the alive is a key thing, is that everything has an aliveness to it. It has a density to it. When you have your eyes closed, it feels, and you're really truly tricked into believing that there's a physical object right there in space. The stand-up bass is right there, and it feels like you could walk up and walk around it. And so it's really, I've never experienced that before. People talk about 3D, something being holographic, and I'd gotten that a little bit, where you'd have instruments in space, and you could feel like you could almost fly around that instrument and listen to it from different perspectives. Once I got everything, and including the CPAs in the ceiling, then when you close your eyes, you can really it's kind of trippy. You can fly into an instrument, like you can fly into the guitar, and you can hear all the little nuances, and it almost sounds like you can hear it from different perspectives. Like it's hard to describe. It's almost like being on drugs, because there's so much detail there and nuance, and it really feels like you can reach out and touch it. So it's hard to describe, because it gets beyond experiences that I think most of us have ever had. And the emotion that's involved with it is... Music is very emotional by nature. And I think a lot of that gets obfuscated just through poor playback, whatever it is in the system that's not doing its job. But when you get it right, you can tell when the musicians are having fun. It's just a fun feeling you get. And when it's a sad song, it's just mournful. It like breaks your heart and you start crying. And then it goes back, it can be back to fun and dramatic. And the roller coasters you can go on just listening to the music. I stopped thinking about how big the soundstage is or how much detail or resolution I'm getting. I just sit down and I'm gone in the music. And the aliveness that everything has, it really feels that they've captured a living experience. So there's the flesh on it, there's the blood, there's the soul in it. So it makes it really easy just to sit and listen for very extended periods of time. And that's one of the things I couldn't do before. I'd get fatigue, or there was just, especially the cymbal hits. Cymbal hits, big band music with a lot of brass, it would get a little, like a cymbal hit would start to sound like a steak sizzling versus the initial crack and then the rotation of the cymbal as it fades off. So it's not bright. A lot of times when people talk about detail and brightness comes to mind, that isn't pleasant. But this is detail with no glare. It's just you get to hear what's going on. There's no searching for what's going on. you can hear layer after layer of instruments, voices, music, sound, and you're not hunting for it. If you ever watched hockey before they went to HD, you wouldn't know where the puck was. It was hard to follow the puck when you were watching a hockey game. Then you went to 4K, and it was like, oh, the puck's right there, and you can follow the puck really easily. That's kind of what it's like once I put all the treatment in the room, is that everything is just really easy to follow. There's no hunting for anything. If there's a little noise in the background of a recording, you can hear it. I'm surprised at how much talking there is in some of these recordings. Like people in the background, I don't know where they are, if they're in the booth or if it's somebody outside the studio, but a few times I've paused because it sounded like somebody was outside my house talking. I'd never heard songs I'd listened to for 20 years. I'd never experienced that before. So I really wish it was more approachable for more people to hear this, because once you do, you stop thinking about getting new components. I've always looked at the forums, read reviews, because it's like, oh, I'm missing something. I want something else. And once I got this, I am just so content and happy. It's been over a year that we've been working on this. We've done it in stages. And we hit critical mass at one point. And once we hit that critical mass point, it was just eye-opening, and the search for components really just it died off. And as I added more of the treatment, I have less and less and less desire to try new components. I am curious, but it's not because I'm missing something. It's just the curiosity that I have. It's also fun listening to tracks or even albums that I haven't listened to in years, like 15, 20 years. And it just sounds so new and complete. I really wish that I had started with, especially the diaphragmatic absorption, a lot earlier. It would have saved me so much money and all the money I've spent on equipment over the years. It really did. The bass, it's a third of the music that is the bass, and when you don't get that right, it doesn't matter how good everything else is or how good your equipment is. If you're not hearing it, fundamentally, I know that something's wrong. I didn't know what it was. But once I got the diaphragmatic absorption in here, I knew that I never ever want another music room without it. I even, like my TV room, it's nothing special, but I'm going to order some units for that because it makes such a big difference. It just makes the space that you're in nicer. I love just walking into this room. It's like walking into the deep forest, the deep, quiet forest. It's really just a pleasure to be in the room. And all the anxiety, all the stress of the day just goes away. I sit down, push play, and I'm gone. It's the happiest I've ever been in my music listening hobby since I put all this in. Every single dollar of it was the best money I spent on my stereo.
Thank you for watching this video, and if you liked it, please give us a thumbs up. We also have a newsletter that you can subscribe to, so please do that because we offer special price discounts to only those on our newsletter. And then don't forget about our forum. We have started a forum on our own website where people ask questions, and I usually get a chance every couple of days to look at it. There's an interchange between people on the forum, and we'll give you real answers on a regular basis, so that'll help you. Thank you.